Hey everybody, welcome back to the Clemson Tiger Wire podcast for episode 17. Hey, I know we've been a little bit distant with it's been a while since we've gained some game recap, but starting here on for the rest of the season, we're going to have one after every single episode. We're going to try the night that the game's over, but the games that we're at, sometimes it's a little hard just getting back late, but we will have one for every single game moving forward in the rest of the basketball season. Also today, we're going to start our first conversation talking about Clemson baseball. First series is under our belts. He wrapped up Sunday afternoon against Xavier, so we're going to talk briefly about Clemson baseball today, and as soon as basketball season ends, that's going to be our focus. So we're excited about that. Make sure you stay around for the episode later on in that, but today's going to be a great time. We're going to have Anthony back on the show as we wrap up. We're going to talk about our last 4 games for Clemson basketball, and one of those was against Anthony's own Wolfpack, so unfortunately we'll have to talk about that game, but it'll be all right. We'll make it through it. We'll hold each other's hands and get through it, but it'll be good. So without further ado, welcome to the stage. Anthony, how you doing, man? Nice to see you.
I'm good. Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
You still we actually got to watch the game yesterday.
We did. That was a crazy environment to be in. Little John was something else yesterday.
We'll get to the state game in a second, but I want to say this, guy, everyone listening to the Tiger Wire, I've never heard a fan. So we own how seats worked. Our season seats did not have any available beside us. So Anthony was actually setching over a couple rows back, but right on the aisle. We're both on the same aisle. The entire game, I'm hearing Anthony. And the parts where State's leading, the parts where Clemson's leading, Anthony's in there. He's a passionate fan. I got to say that about him. He definitely knows what he's talking about.
Trying to stir up them Clemson fans around me.
You had the people beside us. They were pretty upset the entire time. I think one time it was a father and his son, and the father looked back at you, and I think he gave like a little nod of disgust your way. But that's
cool.
It was fun. That's the environment. That's what you want in those. But
overall, it was everybody there was awesome though.
Absolutely.
There was not a bitter fan. Nobody being mean. It's Clemson, great environment.
It's that's what I love about the ACC. For the most part, you're not going to have any of those like rough environments. Gosh, we had one, and I'll tell you about one in a second. But for the most part, everybody's pretty like relaxed, cool, calm, collected, not going to bully anybody. That kind of stuff.
There was no really trash talking. I mean, I could hear fans yelling around me, maybe trying to get me going, but it was directed towards the game. It was not like direct on person to person, so it was pretty cool. Everybody's really respectful.
I'm glad we went. It was fun. But hey, let's jump in. Tiger Wire fans, I know it's been a while. Guys, I don't know how I haven't talked about this, and I apologize. We've had some pretty big wins in the past. We launched a 3-game win streak for the first time since our big stretch of at the beginning of the season. So that was cool to see with that 3-game win streak, and it all started at Chapel Hill. Anthony, did you have a chance to watch that game?
Yeah, so I did catch part of that. It was a great win for Clemson, right? Second win ever in at North Carolina. So
number 2.
That was awesome.
Number 2.
You got to go there, right?
I was, yeah. So we actually, myself and Luke, he's another guy. He's a big Tar Heel fan. We got to go and we worked media for the game. It was a fun game. It was, let me tell you, Chapel Hill, like I was just talking about, how for the most part, people are pretty chill. People are pretty relaxed. That wasn't the case this time. It was, gosh, Chapel Hill is hostile. They got some fans. So in the media booth, if you haven't been to Chapel Hill, we're up in the top corner. Pretty good seats, but I'm right on the edge of it. And to my left, there's a section in the corner where there's like rows of people. So it's like 2 people, 2 people, 4 people, 4 people, smaller rows, not full rows. And I'm beside students the entire time. They're
so they have it right next to the student section.
It's like the cheap seat student section. Okay. So it's up top. You're in nosebleeds, but it's the cheap seat students. Like you can tell it was like kind of Clemson fans, media, and then a solid row of Carolina students.
Gotcha.
But the entire time, I'm wearing a Clemson hat. I don't have any Clemson shirt on, but I'm wearing a Clemson hat. They let me have it. They were letting me have it. They were hostile, but
it's crazy,
for the most
even
part,
media, right?
I'm telling you, I'm just over there typing away. I'm on my computer taking notes, and Oh no, they were screaming. It was fun, but no, it was a great game though. Clemson, it worked out well for us. It was really good. What blows my mind, and I'm going to talk about this, is the entire game we were ahead the entire game. There was only
it said a 16-point lead at one point.
Yeah, it was. We had it almost 20-point lead. Literally the entire game. They only tied it up twice. They tied it up once early, and then they tied it up again at 70-70. Other than that, we were ahead the entire game. Never would have expected that going in. Love to see it, but never would have expected that.
Yeah. Let's say, looking at the stat book, I mean, y'all did pretty well, at least matching North Carolina, right? Rebounds, assists, turnovers, y'all pretty much deadlocked. So,
no, I started off good. I thought the first half was good. We started off leading the way pretty well. I mean, we had a 14-point lead with 4 minutes left in the first half. But then that ended the first half. I'm not gonna lie, I got a little nervous. I think UNC ended the first half on like 11-2 run. So it's kind of that like if you know NC, they can score quick.
Yeah.
And the fact they'd only scored 25 points in the first 16 minutes, I was nervous, but they went into half 43-34. I thought the biggest things at halftime I was worried about is Clemson was shooting really good at three. And so if we got cold there, I knew we'd be in trouble. I thought we gotta stay out of foul trouble. That's when Clemson gets hurt bad, is when PJ starts getting in foul trouble. Ian Shefflin gets foul trouble. And the last thing is multiple wins through this season and multiple losses. We've had a big lead, and we'll just take our foot off the gas. Mm-hmm. And I was really worried after a dominating first half they get comfortable and come back. On the other side of that, UNC had to start forcing turnovers. We weren't turning the ball over hardly at all that first half, and they weren't moving the ball at all. It was, you could tell that Duke game got to them. It was, I don't know. I'll talk about that in a second, but you could tell the energy was lacking because the game before this was when they played Duke. But second half they came back out. They got it by, they tied it up 70-70 with 4 minutes left. But PJ just came out and did great. Came out and locked it up. Elliot Cadeau kind of struggled this game. What was his? Do you have his stats?
Let's see. Cadeau was 2 for 6. He only had 5 points.
Yeah, he had a rough night that night. I don't know what happened.
RJ did shoot a lot against Clemson though. He shot 22. Yeah. 7 for 22 points.
I think RJ, and what's crazy because I think he only had like 6 points in the first half. In the second half, he just went off.
And we've talked about that in like when we've done our rankings episodes, is just because he scores 22, like, yeah, that's impressive, right? But when you're shooting 22 times, you should have a lot of points.
Absolutely.
So in the overall, like, that could hurt him because, I mean, if you look at it, 7 for 22, is it? I mean, it's decent. He had 5 of those were threes, but that can hurt North Carolina going on, is just letting him keep shooting the ball.
Yeah. That's what I don't understand, honestly, is looking at it. When you looked at last year, I don't know if you're around, you living down in Richland County now, so I don't know if it's a little different for you. But living in where I live in western North Carolina, that kind of area, in the upstate South Carolina, that area, I'm around a lot of Tar Heel fans. Oh, yeah. And last year, everyone talked about how much they hated Elliot Cadeau. Or not Elliot Cadeau, Caleb Love. No one liked Caleb Love for the Tar Heels. And the reason was it was all about how much they couldn't stand how many shots he took. You know, like he complained they were ball hog, that he took all these shots, that in some games he would score crazy amounts. Some games he'd be their leading scorer. He'd score a bunch. He averaged over 20 plus. But then this year, RJ Davis is, I think, doing the exact same thing, and everybody loves him. I don't understand. Am I wrong on that?
No, you're 100% right. Because even if he's having an off night, he's still shooting the ball, but you don't get complaints because the majority of the time he's having pretty good games, right?
Yeah.
So,
that's confusing me, honestly. It's just how honestly it feels like hypocritical almost. I'm not trying to call it Tar Heel fans. If you're a UNC fan, find your way to Tiger Wire. Forgive me, but I don't understand it. I don't understand how you go from 1 year hating on Caleb Love, who's a good ball player. Look at what he's doing with Arizona this year.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, overall, I thought the UNC game was great. Honestly, this game, what stood out to me the most about this game, and I'm going to talk about him a little bit more going forward, would be Jack Clark. So this game was Jack Clark's first return back. from his first start. He played in the game before, but this was his first start. And we actually asked Brad about it in the podcast or in the post game conference. We asked him about what his thoughts were on it and what his thoughts were on the Jack Clark, Chauncey Wiggins, why he went with Jack. And he actually, we're going to play his answer here in just a second. But his answer was actually all about how he really liked Jack Clark's defense and rebounding style. And if you look at Chauncey Wiggins, that's not where he succeeds at. Chauncey's more of an offensive threat. But Jack Clark, his offense and his rebounding and his defensive presence is just lights out. And that Carolina game really stuck out to me.
Yeah, I was looking at his stats right now. I mean, he finished the North Carolina game 7 boards, 6 points, even threw in a steal and a block. So, I mean, from a defensive side, can't really ask a whole lot more from him.
Absolutely, he did great. It was great to see. So right now, if we're gonna listen to it, we're gonna change the background for it. So just listen to what Brad's thoughts were on Jack Clark real quick from that post conference. Jack Clark back in the starting lineup. Is that just back recovered from injury?
Yeah, he's practiced enough now to kind of have a better feel of what we're doing, and he's rebounded the ball. And we knew in this game we needed more rebounding. He had 8 rebounds against Virginia. He had 7 rebounds today, I think. Those are critical. 7 defensive rebounds, second in rebounding on the defensive end behind Ian. So, he's an older, more mature guy. That helps. Chauncey played, pretty well. Made a big shot. Thought he did some good things. Our bench has to help us, and they did tonight.
Awesome. So those were Brad's thoughts when we asked him about it. And like you heard, he's focusing on rebounding. Honestly, I would have thought that you would have leaned towards offensive presence going against the highest scoring offense in the ACC with Carolina, but he didn't. He went with the rebounding. He wanted Jack Clark's defense. He wanted Jack Clark's offense. His rebounding. So that was cool to hear. That was cool for Brad to say.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously you need the boards. You need somebody down there to help Shefflin. I was looking back last because Clark was with NC State last year, and he averaged 9 points. But again, the big thing is he was still averaging 7 rebounds at NC State. So he's a tall dude. He can get down there. And at the end of the day, a lot of times what we see in these games is when you're getting destroyed on the boards, whether it's offense or defense, but you can't stay in the game if you can't get boards. So I don't blame Brad there for putting him in. You got 2 big guys. You got Baycott. And if Shefflin's got Baycott boxed out, right, then here it is Clark that can jump in and clean up the board. So, yeah, don't blame that one bit for putting Clark in.
Absolutely. And he's playing good. And like you said, Chauncey Wiggins isn't like he's not getting minutes. His first game not starting, he still played 19 minutes. Went 2 for 4, 1 3 with the 5 points. But, look at his stat line. 19 minutes, he had 1 rebound. It really shows what it is. And honestly, the biggest question mark on Chauncey Wiggins all year has been his defense. You look, it's crazy. He's like 6'10", 6'11", and he's so long, he's so lengthy, but it's just like he's not catching it all the way with defense. So I like it. I was a big fan. If you listen to Tiger Wire early on, I was a fan of Chauncey Wiggins over Jack Clark. I was wrong. I'll admit it. First one to say, Jack Clark. I think Chauncey Wiggins is going to be special. He's only a sophomore. Give him a year or two. I still think he could be ACC Player of the Year candidate his senior year. But yeah, right now, Jack Clark needs to be in our lineup. I like him in that starting lineup. So that's all. You got any final thoughts on the Carolina game? I think that's all I got.
I always in love watching the Tar Heels go down. So it made me very happy inside to see Clemson win. Also, I've been keeping up with Clemson more this year, so it's cool to see them evolve and win big games. And going into Tar Heel Nation is a big one. So yeah, good job on Clemson.
It was a good game. It was good to see it. Real good to see it. But so we will move on. After a Carolina game, we had another big road game. We won't spend as much time on this one, but went to Syracuse and played the Big Orange at Syracuse a little bit ago, and we had a good win there. Had a real good win there. Were you able to watch that one?
Tough place. Yeah, tough place to go into. I know I've watched a couple of Syracuse games this year, and then just like most places, home court advantage, and they definitely got it there. Yeah. It's a tough place for many teams. Clemson did a really good job of going in there, though. I don't know. They balled out there.
Played really well. Was happy to see it. I'll be honest, what blows my mind about Syracuse, and we'll talk about stats a little bit more in a second, but we were winning that game dominantly. Like at one point, we're up by 15. I think our biggest lead was 18. I could be wrong on that. Maybe 17? 15. So we were up by 15 at one point. We went into halftime up by 13. But then yet Syracuse still found a way. We went into halftime up by 13. And then all of a sudden, 4 minutes into the second half, we're only up by 7. 8 minutes in the second half, we're up by 6. 12 minutes in the second half, it's a 4-point game. And that was about where it stayed for a little bit. But it was worrisome. And I think the biggest thing that stuck out to me this game is how many times we turned the ball over. My goodness. We turned the ball over 21 times. It was
You shouldn't win many games if you're turning the ball over that much.
Not at all.
Honestly.
Not at all. You look at why we won the game, and I think it stands obviously because of that, but I think the two things that kick out is rebounds. We out-rebounded up by 17, and then we shot 60% from the field.
Yeah.
This game had the potential to be a massive blowout, and because of 21 turnovers, it ended up being a 9-point game, 9-point win. But gosh, I think our big men saved us with reboundings, and I think our 3-point percentage saved us in rebounds. And real quick, I'm gonna go over team stats, and then Anthony, if you want to pull up some player stats, walk through those with us. But yeah, so I think the biggest things was you look at steals. It wasn't even just dumb turnovers; they stole the ball from us 14 different times. Fast break was pretty even. Points in the paint, like I said, our big men, 48-32 points in the paint. Well over half of our points came from down low, people fighting down low. So it was a good time. Syracuse had an early 3-point lead at one point. But yeah, other than that, it was Clemson led the way most of the way. So what were some of the player stats that stood out to you?
So compared to other games, I mean, y'all had very even scoring. 13 from Shefflin, 15 Hall, Hunter 14, and Girard 18. Also, again, it goes back to what we were just talking about. What Brad was saying is the rebounds. 10 boards brought in by Clark, 10 for PJ, right? Even if Shefflin wasn't having a good night rebounding the ball, you had other guys in there to be able to step up. I will say this because you had mentioned the team stats. So I've noticed this watching the Clemson games is sometimes they get caught up in the 3-point game, right? And I'm sure you'll get into that more later with the upcoming games. But for that one, 6 for 14, it looked. And y'all are, in my opinion, when y'all get in the paint, y'all are scoring, you're driving. That's Clemson basketball, right?
Absolutely.
And then occasional kick out. You got Girard; he shot 4 for 5 3-pointers against Cuse, but know who your shooters are, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I think y'all had such a good success shooting 60%. Is y'all didn't live or die by the 3.
I 100% agree. I think we're a team that we got PJ Hall, we got Ian Shefflin, you got Chase Hunter, who's a good paint player as a point guard. He good at those little turnaround floater shots or fader shots or stuff like that. But let the 3 be something that's a reward for a good paint play. Don't let paint play be what we have to do because the 3 points off. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, and then let's look and seeing if any of the guys from Syracuse had a great game, but Mintz, per usual, he played 40 minutes, scored 14, had 5 assists. Nobody really stood out for them. Their forward, Brown, he had 8 boards, but yeah, nobody from Cuse's side. I mean, I don't know if they just weren't gelling or what the case was, but definitely Clemson was on fire.
Yeah. I think biggest thing, celebration from this is you couldn't draw up a more storyline. You got Joe Girard plays there for 4 years, transfers to Clemson, and then Clemson comes back to Syracuse. And Girard hits his 2,000 point while playing at Syracuse, returning there. That was real cool to see. I love that the fans were booing him the whole time. I had some Clemson fans disagree with me there. They don't like it, but you can even listen to Joe in the press conference. They were asking him about it, and he said, "Look, the boos, I thrive on that." He said, "I enjoy that kind of stuff, so keep booing me." Made me want to boo him some at home games, see what happens. Yeah. But but it was cool to see. Really happy about that. Good game overall.
Congrats on the 2,000.
Yeah.
That's a big accomplishment for. I mean, he's been the whole time in the ACC, right?
Oh yeah, he's the third most. I think he's third in the ACC in 3 points. Yeah, He's a high scorer. He
Not like
they
he
asked
came from the mid level or whatever, and then came up.
exactly.
Right, he's done it all in the ACC, which is very impressive.
Absolutely, good point. Good point for sure. But yeah, so I think that will wrap up our thoughts on the Syracuse. We got 2 more games to recap. Next one up was our last win in that 3-win series, 3-win streak. Was that game against Miami? What an interesting game. Were you able to watch any of that one?
I'm trying to remember. I've been flipping through like all the games, trying to catch up on the like who's balling out and who's not. I don't remember if I caught much of that one, honestly.
That game was an interesting one. So it started off pretty close game. We were up 11-9, 18-15, 23-18, 31-24. And that was that kind of, we were within 7. We led the whole time. But then the last 4 minutes, and this is I've seen this be a habit the past 2 games, and I'm really hoping it was just a 2-game fluke. The last 4 minutes of the first half, we didn't score at all. So Miami ended up making it a 1-point lead. And honestly, at halftime, I've never seen Little John have so little energy. I've seen us be blowing out small schools, and they have be more energy than that. It was the entire first half. It felt like neither team was in it, neither coach was in it. The stadium wasn't in it. It was just dead. Second half came out, and Joe Girard tried to pump up the crowd, and Miami tied it up. And then Miami actually took a 4-point lead and early on in that second half. And Brad Brownell was even trying to pump up. I've never seen Brad be the coach to try to pump up the crowd, but he was calling a timeout, was trying to pump up the crowd, get him going. Miami took a 4-point lead, and then we got it back down to 1. And then down with 4 minutes left, Clemson kind of just ran away. There was a big 3 that happened with Chase Hunter, and then Jack Clark, who we just talked about, had great defense, stole the ball from him, went coast to coast, made a layup. And then Miami used a timeout there, and finally the crowd got into it. Finally, that crowd kind of jumped back in. So we were up by 6, and then the final 4 minutes was it was unreal. Clemson ended in the final 7 minutes on a 24-3 run to win 77-60. It was a game that did not feel like a blowout, but
so I did catch the end of that right there.
Yeah.
I think I had flipped it over, and I caught the very end, and they gave the run of what it ended, and I was like, that's a solid way to end the game, right?
You couldn't ask for better.
Yeah.
It's the last score of the game. If you haven't watched it, go watch Chase Hunter's little move. Did you see the 3-point to end the game? Oh, it was crazy. He did that little fake, and then the guy tripped back and he swished the 3 in his face. That was really special. That was cool to see.
I think I texted you at the very end of that, right?
I think you did. I think you're right. Yeah.
Because I was like, that's
Big
a crazy
win.
way to end the game.
Yes.
The run that they were on.
Yeah, 24-3 run, crazy. It was cool to see. Looking at team stats, I'll go through team stats real quick. Field goal, we shot the ball really well, shot 44%. They shot 37%. 3-point, we shot about the same. Both teams shot about the same from the 3. Like you said, a little bit, we shot a lot more from the 3 this game. This is definitely one we tried to live. We shot 30 shots on the 3-point. Went 13 for 30, 43%.
Which isn't terrible, right?
That's not terrible. Yeah, 43. I'll take 43%.
Yeah, for sure.
It was right at about half of our shots. We shot 56 total, 33s.
If you can get close to a 50%, then I have no issue with you shooting 3s.
Absolutely. Right? But if you're shooting a 35% night, cool it down.
Yeah.
Rebounds pretty close, 36-34. Assists close. Pretty much everything else was a close battle. Turnovers, they had 12. We had 8. And then points in the paint, we still outplayed them in the paint, 22-18. So overall, you look at team stats, it's like, oh, that's why they won. But the game was very close until that last 7 minutes.
So we talked about this in one of your previous ones. How do you feel about Omer for Miami, right?
Yeah.
12 boards, 18 points.
He had another really good game. It was something that I think Omer's that one guy that you hold him under 20 points and you're celebrating. He's just he can hit the 3. I know he only went what did he make? 1 for
4.
1 for 4. So he can hit the 3. We got lucky he missed a couple of those, but the 12 boards are big. What did Ian do on the boards? Did he have a good board night?
Ian had a good board night, not points. He had 11 and 5.
That's right. Yeah. This was another one of those games, 2 games in a row that Ian didn't score 10 or more. But yeah, 11 boards. So he was there.
Something I will say real quick, Pack for Miami. He didn't score a single point against
that was the big
Nigel
thing.
Pack.
in the first game with him, we let him go off and score his career high with, I think, 27 points, something around there.
It literally held him to 0 for 7.
Yeah, that was huge for us. And then I think we forced 3 turnovers from him. That was really cool to see. So it was overall good win.
And it shows from Brad's side of whether it's Brad or the players taking upon themselves, right, to be able to make adjustments if you play somebody again, right?
Yeah.
And then there's no better way to be able to stop somebody than keep them from scoring, right?
Absolutely. So. And I think the biggest thing that stuck out to me this game was the free throws. Gosh, we got to the line. Miami did not. I think they took five combined free throws. We shot almost 20. It was we shot a bunch, and we made a lot of them. I think we shot like 80% from the line.
Big game from Chase.
Yeah, Chase Hunter had a really good game. I'm telling you, I will get this in a second too. Chase Hunter's finding his stretch right now. He's finding what he needs to do in order to win these games, and he's really coming alive. As I think early on in the season, we even talked about this. I think you texted me during one game, was like, "Gosh, Chase is a ball hog." And early on in the season, he kind of looked like that. But I think recently he's found that middle ground between ball hog and actually being a true point guard. What we need him to be, the facilitating, taking over when we need it. So that's been encouraging. Miami was really cool to see because relatively, PJ and Ian really didn't score a bunch. I think PJ Hall had, how many did PJ have?
13 for PJ, 5 for Shefflin, 8 from Clark.
Yeah, so those two big men we really didn't have a lot of points from, but so our guards we really needed to step up, and I think they did. So that was cool to see. But yeah, I think Chase Hunter, he's found it out. He's found what he's doing. I think he's figuring out what we need from him exactly, where we need him to be. I mean, and he's playing pretty well. That Syracuse game, we didn't need him as much, and he shot 6 for 9, 14 points. And then Miami goes, and we need him more because PJ's not scoring, and he scores, what was it, 20, 18?
Yeah, 20.
20?
6 for 14.
That was cool to see. But
yeah,
awesome.
He's definitely made progress throughout the year. Definitely, from watching the games, just seeing him on a night-to-night basis, he's been able to progress himself and make himself better throughout the year, not just in the off season, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times, people wait until the off season, then they come out the next year and they're so much better. But Chase has definitely been one of those guys that I don't know what he's been doing, obviously, right? I'm not in practices, but he's done something to make himself better overall player for Clemson this year.
So somebody asked him about that in the press conference a couple weeks back. They said, well, we noticed a switch. What is it? And his answer was he just had a baby. He said that having a baby. So congrats to the Hunter family.
Yeah,
that's awesome. But yeah, so he said that having that baby has really gave him a new motivation, a new sense of the game. And that was really cool to see. You don't see that a lot with college players having a baby.
Fun fact that probably not many people know. That's pretty cool.
There you go. Yeah. So congrats to the Hunter family. That was cool for them. But awesome. So those were our 3 big wins. I thought 2 big home wins and then a big statement win at home against Miami, who's had a struggling year, but still a really good ball team. So I think we're going to take a quick break, and then we will come to the part that I don't want to do, but we'll do it anyway. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. See you soon. All right, we are back with the Tiger Wire. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for listening to those ads. We appreciate that. But yeah, so we are back, and now we won 3 straight, won 3 good ones. Hard road win at Carolina, hard road win at Syracuse, good home win against Miami. And then Saturday night, February 17th, we hosted the North Carolina Wolfpack, which if you've been a Tiger fan or Wolfpack fan for a while, historically, we played in really close games. There's not been a lot of historical blowouts. Last year was a different story. In all sports, everything, absolutely. But last year was a little different story. We won't even talk about that. I would talk about it more if different results happened Saturday, but I'm not going to. Anthony, I'm not, so spare me on that.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah.
I'd hate to have to bring up football, right?
Exactly. So exactly. We'll move on. But yeah, so let's talk about this little Saturday's game. It was a good game. Good game for y'all for sure. I thought it was a good game for us, but yeah, what was your thoughts? If you didn't watch it, NC State won a close one, 78-77. Both teams won. NC State made their last shot. We had a chance to make it, and we missed ours. So what was your thoughts on the game, Anthony?
The refs were very inconsistent.
So
Right?
bad.
They kept it close. I will say that. Right? It
Yeah,
was never like 9 fouls on us, 1 foul on y'all. Right?
I agree.
They
Yeah,
they would keep it 6-4. But just the calls they were making, man, like
I
it
thought in
was
the
so
first.
inconsistent.
Yeah, in the first half, y'all were winning by a good amount, the majority of the first half, and I thought the refs kept y'all from running away from it. And in the second half, we took a lead back, and I think we were leading by. Did we get up by 10?
I think I just
8 or
looked up.
9. We were
Y'all
up by
had
a
a
good.
total of 10. That's the highest
Yeah,
y'all's lead
we were
was.
up by 10 in the second half, and I think the refs kept us
Oh,
from
excuse me,
running away with
12.
it.
12. Y'all
12.
had
So
12. We got up 10 in the first half.
yeah,
That's right.
so I think the first half refs kept y'all from running away with it, and second half refs kept us from running away with it. So they were terrible, but they were
Yeah.
equally bad both ways. I
You
saw.
ever seen a carry in a game?
What? Where did that
Yeah,
come from?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Didn't they just call that on like Jordan Clarkson in the NBA or something like a couple
Yeah, they
nights
don't call
before?
that much. And
Nah.
that was, yeah. I'm sure we'll get to it in a minute, but yeah,
God,
that was ridiculous.
what in the world? But no, I thought it was a good game overall. But yeah, like going through it, Clemson, it was started off hot, right? Started off close game. I think both teams kind of scored a bunch. But go ahead. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I had the same thing. Burns was able to take advantage, right, of the man-on-man. He's got that little quick little hook that he was able to take advantage of early. A lot of teams have hit him with that double team early,
Mhm.
and Clemson didn't at first, right? And it hurt him at first. But then at the same time, I had PJ Hall, like he was that top 3-pointer, right?
Yeah.
We just weren't stepping out on him, and he was knocking him down. And it's not like he can't shoot, right? So I don't know why we weren't stepping out on him, but y'all took the early boards lead. But we were able to force turnovers, excuse me, on y'all. Just silly mistakes. I think there was a couple times where literally it looked like y'all threw it out of bounds. Right.
It was so bad. So I think we had 4 turnovers in the first 6 minutes, something like that. It was so ugly. And y'all kept doing that full court press and that inbound defense. We couldn't beat it. I think we had to take 2 timeouts in the first half to prevent a 5-second violation, and then maybe one of those it might have been a 5-second. I think we got away with one of those. But gosh, it was rough. Y'all's defense, that full court defense, we couldn't beat it. Horn is
For the longest I saw, we were both shooting over 50% though.
Oh yeah,
So
both were shooting well.
we were doing really good ball. I don't even know what to say. Discipline, right? Your shot discipline. We're both shooting over 50% for the longest.
I think what kills me is a lot of people say when players hit their first couple shots, it's really good for them. I have a hot take. All right, hot take right here.
I'm listening.
I think it is very bad for PJ Hall to hit his first couple threes.
It goes back to what I just said. It's
Exactly.
living or dying by it, right? And that's what he fell into.
100%. He made his first 2, and so he's pumped up. And then he started, what are you doing? What are you shooting? I think he shot 5 in the first half, and the last 3 were all forced.
So while we were sitting there, I actually screenshot it because you can't really through the apps and stuff. You can't go back and look at halftime stats, right? Hang on, I had PJ's up. He was 3 for 7 total, 2 for 5 from the 3 at halftime.
So he took 2 shots, not from the 3, and I think only one of those was in the paint.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Yeah.
You're PJ Hall. What are you doing? You're unstoppable in the paint. You get down there, you take the foul, you get hit. Frustrating.
But also, what stood out to me, right, is Shefflin. At halftime, Shefflin was 0 for 2 from 3.
And he didn't keep it. I think second half he only shot
He didn't
one more
score
and
in the first half.
Yeah, ugly. For record, he only had 2 points the entire game.
Yeah,
he had an off night. That's 3 games in a row that he didn't score 10 points, but what's different is he's not pairing that with a lot of rebounds either. I think he only finished with 7 this game.
And they got them all at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I think up until the second half of the second half, right?
Yeah.
So the last 10 minutes.
That 10-minute mark
is when he caught 4 or 5 of his rebounds.
Yeah, it was ugly.
I will say, while you're talking about the first half, Girard not scoring until 5:30 left in the first half.
He didn't even take a shot.
Yeah.
He made his first shot. He made his first shot with 5.5 minutes left. I understand.
Also have the note while we're talking about PJ. His first points in the paint was 5 minutes left in the half.
that can't be it. You can't do that. You can't be. Those are two stars. Not only do you have to know who your stars are, you have to know how your stars play. PJ Hall is net. I understand, and here's my honest opinion. Michael Cravers talked about this when he's been on with us before. I think last year PJ Hall went and tested the waters for the NBA draft. Right, he went and saw what he needed to do, and I think they told him, "We need to see you able to knock down threes."
It might have been.
I think he's overusing it. I think he's taking that and he's trying to prove it. He's overcorrecting. I think your stars got to score, but your stars got to score how they score. Joe Girard's got to find a way to get shots up. PJ Hall's got to find a way to get in the paint, to let the three be openings from paint play. It was crazy. But y'all led. I mean, at halftime wasn't a big thing.
So y'all had the momentum going into locker room, right?
Oh, for sure. Those last minute and a half was great.
Back-to-back threes, Girard and Hunter.
Yeah.
And then we get the ball, I think it was like 9 seconds, right? Get a timeout. Keats draws up a terrible play, which I've seen over and over and over again, right? And I was fully expecting this later on in the game as well. But draws it up, we get blocked. Y'all have full momentum going into the half.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Jack Clark played decent. I thought, I'm sure we'll talk about more in a second. I thought he played really well defense and rebounding. Offense, I think you told me this. You came up and sat with me a little bit there at halftime. He tried too hard. He was forcing shots. He ended up shooting. He not terrible. He shot 3 for 4, but one of the twos that he shot, or one of the threes that he shot and made, was like, that was a good shot. Then the second one was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, the first one was whenever, and I put in the notes is, and I've seen it throughout the whole ACC. Other games that I've watched is guys going under that screen. Right?
Yeah,
up at the top. You can't go under. You got to somehow, even if you're forcing that foul, you got to fight over and prevent that three, because Clark again knocked it down, and Girard does it all the time.
Reminds me of the Olympics game where Kobe Bryant went straight through Paul Gasol's chest.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost what you have to do in the ACC this year. There's so many good scorers. Run straight into them. Straight into them. Go around them. You can't go under. Too much space is never the answer.
So Horn went off right at the beginning of. He started knocking down. I think he had 3 3-pointers in a row against y'all, and then we subbed Horn out. Bring him back in again. Credit to y'all. Y'all made adjustments for that. The end of the half, right? I don't think he scored again. Once he got subbed out about. It was before the 12-minute timeout. Came back in and y'all shut him down. I don't know what happened later on in the game, like what miscommunication was, but y'all made the adjustment for the end of the first half.
Yeah,
against him,
and we kept that momentum going into the beginning of the second. To begin the second half, we started on a 14-2 run.
Hot start for sure.
We started well. Only bad things I had at the beginning of the half was PJ and Ian both took some ugly 3-point shots. We've already talked about that. Don't take threes. But other than that, started off really well, and we kept that 8-point lead through the first third of the half, first 8 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm not going to talk about it a lot, but that RJ dunk when Burns was guarding him and he faked that spin and then went underneath. Oh, that was pretty. That was real pretty.
I haven't seen a game. I haven't seen Godfrey play in any of your previous games like he did against us. He was the guy that y'all needed in to force our hand. And my girlfriend was with us at the game last night, right? And she's like, why is Middlebrooks in there with DJ Burns? Or why is Diarra in there with Burns, right? Y'all forced us to have 2 post guys. And a lot of times we'll run 4 guards with DJ Burns in the middle, right? And y'all forced us that. And Godfrey was that what we weren't expecting. I'm sure we came in, we were expecting Shefflin, PJ, right? And then all of a sudden, here's Godfrey playing 24 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think I told you that at half, like, play him more, put him in. Yeah. He might not be able to play every game like that, but against us, keep him in the game.
RJ's one of those guys that he knows what we need. I've never seen him play a game where he forces things. He's okay. He's only a sophomore, so he's young. Only thing I've seen recently is past couple games, he started shooting some threes. I think he went 0 for 1 from the 3 against y'all. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. He's not a 3-point shooter. Don't take him. I don't care if you're wide open. Don't take him. But other than that, he's one of those guys that if he scores, he's good. What's crazy about him is up until our last loss, right? So we've lost 8 games total this year, which hurts me to say it. We're so much better than an 8-loss team with 6 games left. But up until that last loss against Virginia, if RJ Godfrey had 10 points, we won the game. If he had less, we lost. So it's not allowed, but it's quiet. And then I think that that stretch where we had, where Memphis, that was true. That stretch, this 3-game lose streak, Miami, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, RJ Godfrey didn't have 10 points, and he lost those. I'm like 98% sure that's true. But it was a while if it's not. It was for a while where if he didn't have 10 points, we lost for sure. But yeah, I think either way, last night was a good game. It was great. After that, though, we took that 8-point lead. And then it kind of changed after that, right? So little stuff changed after that 8-point lead.
Started building back slowly.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a big run or anything, right?
Mm-mm.
I think we cut it within 8-5. Y'all were still scoring. We'd come down and hit a 3. I know Diarra had some big threes for us. I had on my notes back to back. We cut it to 5 with a Horn 3 and a Diarra 3 back to back.
Who is Diarra?
Yeah, he's a transfer from Baylor.
He went 3 for 3. I was sitting in front, so you were behind us a couple rows. In front of us was some people from our church student. And they were big Wolfpack fans. I said, "Who is that guy?" The student was like, "He can't shoot. I don't know what he's doing."
Yeah,
and he goes 3 for 3.
I don't like it for sure. Whenever, because he started doing this more, right? And the same thing with like the guys that you said, like Shefflin and stuff, is they're not really 3-point shooters.
Yeah.
Yes, he went 3 for 3 last night. However, he's one of those guys. Yes, he also gets in that rhythm of living or dying by it, and so he'll go 0 for 4 one game. But yeah, no, he can make them, and y'all weren't stepping out on him, so I can't be mad for him shooting them. I don't like it. I don't think he should get in the habit of doing it. But yeah, y'all were giving even PJ had him a couple times and was giving him space.
Oh yeah, it was. He had a big 11 points. 11 points will seem like a lot sometimes, but his 11 were really big points.
Yeah.
It was, and then coming in late, gosh, that carry.
Yeah, the carry. So I think that also stemmed, and we had mentioned it a minute ago, is that foul on Girard. Morcell goes to block Girard on the 3. They even showed it on the board, right?
Yeah.
It was all ball.
100%. He blocked that ball. That Joe Girard, he sold it. Give him the Grammy or give him the ESPY or whatever award you want to give him. Give him the Oscar.
No, that wasn't the carry.
No, that wasn't the carry. That was just a time
where there was a play underneath the basket that y'all got free throws on, or we got free throws on.
Yeah,
that was right. We got the free throws because we had the points, and then we're like, oh, that was definitely a makeup call, right? You call a carry at half court.
Yes.
That's what it was. But
that's what it was. Definitely a makeup call to carry. I mean, every player. If a player's not dribbling with his hand like this, he's probably not playing in the Division I basketball or NBA. I mean, you'll even see some of this, and technically by rule that's a carry. But I bet they call that call. You know what? You know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you're a soccer fan. So in soccer, the goalie in professional soccer, you're only allowed to have the ball. I think it's for 6 seconds. So if the goalie, when he catches a shot and holds on to it, if he holds it for longer than 6 seconds, it's a yellow card. It's a penalty right away. I've never once seen that call, and every single time it happens, they'll hold on to the ball longer than that. Like, never call. It's what the same rule is. Carry, yes. By definition, you cannot do this. But everybody does it. Half of the dribble moves that happen in the NBA are like that, and in Division I. Yeah, it was a dumb call. Dumb call.
I noticed that once we get further on, right, we're getting close to the end of the game. We were able to rush y'all. Y'all were shooting the ball very quick. You weren't holding it to the shot clock, was rushing down. And I put it in my little notes, man. It's like y'all were coming down, and within probably 5 seconds of crossing the half court line, y'all had a shot going up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not Clemson basketball.
Not at all. We are a team where I wouldn't call us a fast team or a slow team. We're a team that needs to be in control. We need to be the one that's setting the pace. If we're forcing it to be slow, then we're going to be good. We did that. That's how we beat Alabama. That's how we beat some Texas or TCU, both really fast teams. We beat them by forcing it slow. On the other hand, when we need to be fast, we'll brush it up. There's been other teams early on in the season that will play, and it's completely different. It's, hey, we need it to be fast. We'll be fast paced this time. For instance, talking about slow, we beat Alabama forcing it slow. Virginia slowed us down where we didn't want it to be slow, and that's how they beat us.
Mm-hmm.
They beat us because they took control of possession. Last night, y'all were definitely in charge of the possession. Y'all were in charge of the pace. Yeah, y'all definitely led that there.
Yeah. How did you feel about? And I didn't know if you would mention it, but I'll go ahead and bring it up. Towards the end of the game, whenever Girard loses the ball, Diarra gets fouled by Girard.
Girard fouled him. Yes. Yes. Next, he grabs his face. No, you watch the replay. I've watch
seen it.
He grabbed it and pulled it
zoomed
back.
in as close as they could on it on the big screen. I saw it.
It was.
I don't think it was intentional by no means. I think he's got very long arms. Girard's a smaller dude. He reaches over to get the ball and hit a fast break.
It'd be different if it was like a little. I'm gonna take the headset off. I can't hear you. It'd be different if it was like a little bam. It wasn't. It was ugly. It was ugly. It hurt my neck.
What are you thinking? You thinking a flagrant there?
I could have seen if they could have called a flagrant. I wouldn't have been upset.
I'm sure you wouldn't have, right?
It was something that was, I don't understand. I didn't understand that call. Let me tell you another call. And like I said, we said this in the front, so please don't watch this. Don't, Anthony, you know me. Don't say this. You know it's not me. If you're watching, I'm not one that's going to say we lost because of the refs or calls or anything like that. We had a 12-point lead. We shouldn't have lost that game, right? Like we lost it. We lost the game. But that first jump ball, there was 2 jump balls late, and that
wait,
one.
Before you get there, I wanted to mention this one thing, and I had a question for you actually.
Go ahead.
Do you think Clemson got lazy as it started going on? Because a lot of times the way our offense works, right, is we have a lot of post screens, and if we don't, we hit them at the top of the key, and then another guard comes back around and they'll take the ball from them. Okay. Whether that's off of another screen or whatever the case is, or they just come and do a wraparound of the guy that has the ball, right?
Yeah.
There was 2 plays right before it gets down to this part that obviously DJ Horn is hitting these threes. He hits the back door. Back-to-back plays. Burns hits a little bounce pass to him, and he hits 2 wide open layups.
Yeah.
Is that benefit? Do you think that's just a Horn take? Like they're just scared of Horn hitting down the threes, or they're getting lazy and letting that back door cut go?
I think it was more they're not used to. If you look at State, one thing you can say about State, and I know y'all haven't had the best year. You've got an overall better record than us in the ACC. We're right beside each other standing. I think y'all are 16-9. We're 17-8. Y'all have had a good year. Y'all not the best, but still a decent year. One thing about y'all you can't say is y'all have a unlikely player where DJ Burns, no matter where he's at on the court, is a threat. He's a big man. He's a threat both ways. Exactly. He's a threat to get rid of the ball, and he's a threat to score.
And I think that's something he's had to learn as, again, like I told you at the beginning, multiple teams have started doing that double team on him.
Oh, yeah.
And he struggles way bad with that.
Yeah.
Like he has because he can't dribble that well.
Yeah.
Right. He's had a couple games where he'll dribble from the 3-point line in, but he can't dribble that well. So I think, Ned's had to make his passing game that much better, like you're saying.
I think with that situation, when we've got our attention, we do this high where the PJ Hall and Ian Shefflin will switch who's high and who's low. And I can't stand it. We do it on offense and defense. But I think right there it's just Joe Girard's not the greatest at man coverage. He comes from Syracuse playing zone for 4 years only. So it makes sense. I think it was just DJ Burns is an excellent facilitator, and DJ Horn is one of the best players in the conference.
Yeah. We wouldn't have a team. We've said that. We wouldn't have a team without DJ Horn.
Oh, for sure. And I think Burns he's a great addition for y'all. I think if he could run the court a little bit more, and I'm not saying that because of size, I'm a big guy. I'm not saying anything like that. But I think if he could run the court a little bit more, you could tell he got tired.
Yeah.
On that defensive side, if he could run a little bit more consistently and keep pace with it, absolutely.
Right, because
he fouled out yesterday.
Also has to attribute to his tiredness.
Yes. And I will say Clemson is one of the most physical teams. Every single post conference I go to, every coach is saying this team is one of the most physical teams we'll play. So that's there.
And there was
And
a
I
lot
think
of
that
times where
exhausts him.
PJ and Burns or
Oh, they're
Shefflin and
playing.
Burns, they're just
Yeah.
like straight
Even
on shoving each other.
some of my favorite thing to watch, and we'll get to this second. I got a question for you in a second. But Ben Middlebrooks, who was a transfer from Clemson to State, we got Jack Clark. Y'all got Ben Middlebrooks. It was almost a trade. I loved watching him and PJ go back to back because you got to think like Ben Middlebrooks transferred because we had PJ. He knew that his playing time was limited because of then. It's kind of we got Boss Letty is a transfer that we got. And Boss Letty took over Ben Middlebrooks' spot. It was a 4 or 5 minute a game if you're playing, not a huge role. And so Ben's better than that, so he transferred out. You got to think there's a little resentment saying, I'm guarding the guy that took my spot. You know what I mean?
For sure. He's got the chip on his shoulder, right?
That was really fun to play. But we'll get to there in a second. Let's keep going through the end of the game.
Sorry, yeah. Go ahead back to your point.
Yeah.
I just want to mention that because it happened right before.
It definitely set it up. So after those happens, Nets play, if you're watching, this doesn't seem like a huge point, but I think it is. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to go ahead and preface it with this. It was the wrong call. And here's why I'll say this. And it was the call they had to make. It was not the call they should have made. And so here's what I'll say. That first jump ball, when you had 3.5 seconds left when the ball came down, the shot clock operator turned off the shot clock.
Reset it, I think. I remember seeing it went back to like the actual shot clock 35 seconds.
So it did, but before then he turned it off. So he stopped the shot clock at 3.5, and for multiple seconds the shot clock didn't run. And then he started it, and when it got to 1.5, he reset it, which was wrong. If you go watch the replay, that shouldn't have been what happened. Should have been kept running, which would have forced a change of possession, a shot clock violation, our ball, and we keep possession with the turnover. Go watch the replays. That's exactly what happened. The problem is because he did that, when the refs went and reviewed it, they had to call it a jump ball because the shot clock was off. Our own shot clock operator caused us that possession to be happen. So because
and I came down there to talk to you, and that's
right?
Because we were just a couple seats over. I came down there to you real quick, and we're like, that's a huge thing, right? Because
huge.
You never know, right? And it came to play in this game.
Yeah.
Right? You never know if you need that possession.
And exactly. So if that goes shot clock, we keep possession of the jump ball. And then fast forward, close game, we're up by 1 point, 9 seconds left or 12 seconds left or whatever it was, probably like 15 or something.
Yeah.
It was last couple seconds, one more possession. Y'all get the inbound, you miss a shot, and PJ comes up with it, and y'all swarm him like a hive of bees. He should have called timeout, and he even mentioned that. He mentioned he should call timeout, but he didn't. He didn't dish it. Jump ball, y'all get the ball, one more chance, which ends to DJ Horn hitting a fabulous shot, an excellent shot. I mean, that little – you talk about can't go under somebody. He set that screen. It got Chase under. Brad Brownell called it the prison, where he got in prison underneath that screen, couldn't get around, and Horn took advantage. So, Kevin Keats, you said you weren't expecting it, but he drew up something good.
Too many times I've seen it. We have – luck or unlucky setups on the plays that he draws up, and they're not that great. They don't normally mount to much, but yes, it was a great play getting Horn off of a screen, and it was like a wide open floater, right?
Yeah, it was something. But yeah, so I think that jump ball that turned out huge. That shot clock, because if you don't call it, like I said, I'm not blaming it on that. You can play ifs and buts all game long, and nothing's going to change, right? You could say that about so many different things. If y'all miss that shot, we win. If we make that last shot, we win. If the shot clock doesn't happen, if he keeps that going and we keep that, there's a good chance we win. But like I said, we lost that game for sure.
You think of foul at the end? I didn't think so, but I know there's a lot of Clemson fans yelling at the
No, I don't. I thought Ben Middlebrooks played great. See, this is Bruce. Michael Craver. Michael Craver, I hope you're listening. You ready? Michael Craver, listen to me right now. The call at the end of the Clemson Duke game was 100% not a foul. 100%. We lost that because they called a foul and it shouldn't have been. This game, we lost because they didn't call a foul. They shouldn't have called a foul. He went straight up, straight down. They called it the Superman. He did absolutely fantastic.
And he does have an issue sometimes. And I don't know if he was like that at Clemson, but Middlebrooks has times where he does lower a hand or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And a lot of times he'll get in foul trouble, even coming off the bench. So, yeah, great job from him and it's bittersweet, right? Against Clemson. He gets to –
Yeah, it was good for him. He only had 4 points, but it was rewarding. I will say this, and I'm going to ask you 2 questions about that in a second.
Okay.
But that last play with us, if you switch roles, say you're a Clemson fan, you call a timeout if you're Brad, you're down by
1,000%.
1. You're
There's
down
still
by
like
1.
9 seconds left, right?
Exactly. Down by 1 with 9 seconds left, and you're going to not call a timeout. He did the same thing
knock
versus
off
Virginia.
2-3 seconds, getting it because obviously you want the timeout over half court in front of your bench.
Yeah.
There's no better ideal place, right? You get an inbounds play.
Yep.
But even if Clemson throws it in, they get it across half court, get over there beside Brad, call a quick timeout. You've burned 3 seconds.
You got 5-6 seconds left.
Yeah.
Plenty of time. He did the same thing versus Virginia. He didn't call a timeout, and it cost us the game. I will say this, though. And people pointed this out, and I was wrong. I thought he should call timeout. Looking back now, I still think you call timeout. I think Brad Brownell has a trophy case full of timeouts that are replacing his lack of ACC championships, lack of regular season championships, lack of NCAA tournament success. That trophy case is full of timeouts that he took to the locker room with him.
There's a lot of times he does have a lot of timeouts. I've noticed. I watch the games
all the time.
And he even in the half, because I think there's one in the first half that you can't get back, right?
Yeah, there's one that use it or lose it. Yeah, use it or you lose it.
And there's been times it's like he doesn't even use that one.
I don't understand. But I'll say this though: you look at that replay. Have you watched the replay any of that last second shot by Chase Hunter?
This is one more time. Sorry.
Have you watched the replay of that last second shot by Chase Hunter? Any?
I just know he drove and Middlebrooks was there. I don't know.
So one thing I noticed is, and I listened to this, Brad Brownell called this out in the post-game conference, and I was like, okay, it kind of gave me sense why he didn't call timeout. Still think he should have. But when he came down, the play was there was 3 options. And here's one thing. PJ Hall wasn't an option.
I think, and you said it in the past, I've heard it, is it's got to go to PJ, got to go Girard.
I'm gonna repeat that. Listen. We're down by 1 with 9 seconds left, and PJ Hall isn't an option. All right. Anyway, so the options were this: number 1, Chase Hunter drives, gets an open layup, gets a shot.
That wasn't a terrible shot.
It wasn't, but option 2 or 3 is what he should have done. And I'm sorry, when I'm saying 1, 2, 3, that's not the priority. He should have read first. Yeah. So the shot was actually option.
It's whatever's
3.
open, right? You come down the court, and whichever play lies in front of you is what you run.
One option was he goes up, and Ian Shefflin and Joe Girard switch positions. Joe Girard goes to the 3. Ian Shefflin goes to the paint. Option 2 is Joe Girard's wide open for a 3-point. Y'all had that covered. He wasn't there. Right. Made the right out call there. Look at the replay. Ian Shefflin is wide open underneath the basket on the other side.
Offside low post?
Wide open. He literally, he shot the ball with 2 seconds left. Because remember, after he missed, there was a little bit of fumbling around, and y'all threw the ball down court with the second left. Plenty of time. Watch the replay. If you go down, when he goes up for it, if he brings the ball and dishes it out, which he does all the time, Ian Shefflin is wide open for a layup to win. Wide open.
And you remember that from middle school. We were pushed. It's
Coach Connor. Coach Connor. Offside low post. Offside low post. It was. Shout out Coach Connor. If you're watching this, shout out. I doubt you are, but he's a State fan. Wasn't he a State fan?
I think he was, yeah.
Yeah, but offside low post, Ian Shefflin. And I know he only had, 2 points on the night. He's going to make a layup. I don't care. He's going to make a layup. But he didn't. Ifs and buts, like we talked about. He took a shot, and it rolled around the rim. It looked like it was going to go in, and it didn't. We were sitting, like I said, that guy from the church afterwards. Y'all got the ball. Y'all got the rebound, threw it up. Time expired. He turned around and said, "What just happened?"
It was mayhem at the end.
It was mayhem. It was a good game.
I'd say that's how the whole game was. I mean, it was back and forth. Yeah. Real quick, I was looking at our stats. I mean, we were almost dead even. When y'all took it, I noticed this during the game. When y'all took advantage of the rebounds, whether that was y'all beating us by 5 rebounds or whatever the case was when Clemson was playing the best. Mm-hmm. When Clemson went on the big lead, I think it was like a 7-2 rebound to start the game, or early, and then later on, y'all would go and be beating us in rebounds. And I don't know if that's just the second chance points or whatever the case is, but again, we evened it out, 33-32, 12 assists to 11. I mean, it was. I don't know how much closer it could be. We both still shot almost 50%. We were in the high 40s, both of us.
Yeah. So what stresses me out is the first 4 minutes and the last 4 minutes. Those are some of the most important times of the game, right? I mean, You start off the game, end the game right. The first 6 minutes in the game, including the first 4 minutes, we had 4 turnovers. The last 4 minutes of the game, we had 5 turnovers. That's 9. The middle 32 minutes, the middle section of the game, we only had 2 other turnovers.
That's huge.
Huge.
And y'all, again, credit to the players or whatever the case is, but y'all made adjustments, right? You're turning the ball over early. I don't know if it's a pace or whatever it was, but and then you go back to the ways, right? It's not beneficial to the team in the long run.
I don't know if it's taking your foot off the pedal, if it's you get confident. I don't know what it is, but y'all made adjustments too. I think y'all definitely, we had some open looks. PJ Hall, y'all didn't give him too many open threes. I think he took 5 in the first half and didn't take another one in the second at all. So y'all made adjustments and it looked out well. DJ Horn, I mean, that man is just special. He came out and scored 27.
I wish we had a lot more years with him.
Great player.
I would love to see somebody compliment him. I mean, we have players that'll step up each game, whatever the case is. But I would like to see somebody consistent with him.
Yeah.
So he's not having to carry the whole workload. But it goes back to old teams that we've had, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we've had, like, when Trevor Lacey was there, like, he was the only one. We've had good teams overall.
Dennis Smith Jr.
Yeah, Dennis Smith. I mean, and that was an awful team.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that good.
Yeah. Y'all beat us at that. Didn't he hit a buzzer beater one his freshman year to beat us?
I don't remember that one.
I don't.
He was only there 1 year.
Yeah, I think y'all beat us. I think we played y'all twice and we split, but I could be way off on that. But anyway.
But yeah, real quick, before you move on, the Clemson, from the Clemson side, right, is going from the second half to the first half to the second half. Y'all had such momentum, and you get it up to 12. And I don't know if it was just y'all not making shots or what it is, but if you're up to that point, and NC State's a team that I even told my girlfriend sitting beside me, I was like, I don't know if we're going to come back. I've seen this play out too many times where we get a deficit. It wouldn't surprise me, John, if y'all got up to 30, and then by the end of the game we get it within 8, right? But we always create way too big of a deficit. If y'all could have kept your foot on the pedal, y'all would have been able to go out and probably end it pretty easily.
Yeah. I remember when we were watching the guy that was sitting in front of us goes to the church. We were up by 12. Y'all cut it back to 5. And when I looked at him, and I was like, I think it was 65-60, something like that. I was like, this doesn't feel like a 5-point game. The way the teams were playing, we felt like we were winning by a lot and ended up nowhere near being enough. So being 2 points shy.
I will say, I obviously wasn't at the Miami game, but Clemson fans were in that the whole time.
Yeah.
The whole game. The fans showed up.
And during the state game, they were there the entire time.
They booed Middlebrooks multiple times. So
love to see it.
Let's see. I think it was Godfrey that checked in. I started booing. Right? You're going to boo Middlebrooks? I'm going to boo whoever subs in for Clemson.
I'm surprised you didn't boo Jack.
You see, I mean, he didn't leave. I'm saying subs though, because your main starters didn't really come out a whole lot. Shefflin didn't play as much, but like when y'all made a sub, I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm gonna boo too.
Yeah, Jack Clark actually played the most minutes on our team yesterday. Played 33.
They also put him on the flyer for whatever reason, right?
He had to. Speaking of Jack Clark and Middlebrooks, in my opinion, yesterday y'all got the Ben Middlebrooks that played at Clemson.
Okay, that's fair. 4
points, 1 rebound, 1 steal, 3 fouls. 1 for 2, 0 from 1 from the 3. I can't. He probably had that exact stat line at Clemson a bunch. I will say he came up huge in the end. Burns was fouled out. He played great defense. Honestly, I think here's my opinion. I think if Burns didn't foul out and he's the one playing that defense, a foul's called.
Probably.
And different games.
So,
in my opinion, Burns being fouled out helped y'all because at the end, I think Middlebrooks played that defense better than Burns would have, but that's ifs. You can't really play that much. But my question's this for you. Jack Clark, Ben Middlebrooks trade. Neither one have been a huge scorer. I think Jack Clark was our leading scorer one time this year. No, Chauncey Wiggins was. I don't even know if he's been our leading scorer once. He missed a lot of time with her injuries. Are you glad with the trade, or do you wish you would trade back? Like who do you wish you had out of those two? It's not a trade, but we're calling it a trade.
Yeah, for sure. So don't get me wrong. I do not dislike Ben Middlebrooks.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't know if he's a starter at this level. I think he could be a starter at obviously one of the mid-major conferences or whatever the case is. I think he is a great post to have coming in off the bench to give you like 20 minutes or 15 minutes, right? If I could choose out of the two, I would have kept Clark. I was very upset when Clark put in for the transfer portal. Obviously, I didn't know he was going to go to Clemson, but he's one of those guys, and it probably similar to what you have with Wiggins is he has a lot of talent. He's athletic, right? And he can only get better. I know he only has like maybe one more year after this, I think.
I hope he does.
But he just like the boards, like you had this athletic guy that's going to run the court for you. Middlebrooks he can't keep up with him athleticism wise. So in my personal opinion, I would have loved to have kept Clark. But I'm glad that he's finally started getting healthy to show y'all what y'all are getting in him.
Yeah, and I was, like I've already said, I was wrong on that expecting. So Jack Clark, I don't know, maybe you can explain this. This is something I don't understand. And I don't also, I'll speak this in a second about him. But so this is 5th year playing. He played at La Salle for 3 years, played with y'all 1 year, and now he's played with Clemson this year. He's never been a scorer.
Yeah.
Even at La Salle, at a little mid-major, I guess you can call him a mid-major school, averaged 9.5, 9.9, 12 points. Went to y'all, averaged 9, and then now at Clemson, it's 3.5.
Which is obviously unfair because of his injuries.
Exactly.
Right?
The first couple games, I think he only played like 6 minutes a game.
I went to the very first game with you, and you can tell he definitely wasn't 100%.
Yeah. And they earlier on they lowered it because he had an ankle injury in the offseason, so he didn't get to practice much. He was already a transfer, so he's behind. He's only listed as a senior as his class, not a grad transfer. So can he play one more year? I know it's the COVID.
Yeah, he's definitely was in the COVID year, so I think he has one more year.
So even though he's played 5, you can play 6 years with the COVID. See, I don't understand.
Know. You said he did not redshirt any of them?
I don't know. He only played 10 games in 2018, 2019. So could that have been a redshirt?
So we had an incident with MJ Rice, transfer from Kansas, came to NC State this year. He had some stuff going on, so he redshirted, but he played like the first probably 10 games of our season. There was a deadline that you have to redshirt by, so you can play a certain amount of games.
He played 10 games at first.
So I don't know. I would have to go back and look. I don't know at the top of my head if he redshirted there, but it wouldn't surprise me if he played 10 games and then redshirted. Is what I'm saying.
I really hope that's what happened. He played 10 games. It doesn't say the games. I probably should look into this. Then he played 24 for La Salle, 30 for La Salle, 23 last year for y'all, and he's played 15. He showed up in 15. Only started 7 for us.
There's only so many games you can play. And once you play over that line, you can't redshirt anymore.
Yeah. I would absolutely love if he redshirted and came back because I like the role he's in now, getting that defense, that board. If we got Joe Girard, I mean, he's not going to be there next year. He's done.
Yeah.
PG Hall's also gone. So he'll definitely have some room to start next year.
It'll be a brand new Clemson team next year.
We're losing 8 of our 15 players. 8. But it'll be good. So, all right. So you would say you would keep Jack Clark?
I would. Yeah. What about you?
I honestly, I would agree. I think maybe a different system. I don't know NC State system as much as you do. Clemson system, we don't need Ben Middlebrooks, right? We have PJ Hall. We have Ian Shefflin. Both can play the center. Both can play power forward. We have Boss Letty that can come in and give some rebound.
Would you rather have Middlebrooks or Gottfried?
Gottfried still, because I think that energy that he provides. Honestly, and I mean this, I look through our team real quick. Let me look through our roster. So we've got Jack Clark, Aja Godfrey. I'm gonna go through. Here's the players that I'd rather have been Middlebrooks then. All right.
Okay.
And I won't count the players that don't play.
Okay. Yeah. Of course.
Jack Clark. I'd rather have Jack Clark. Rather have RJ Godfrey. Boss Letty. I would rather have Ben Middlebrooks. Boss I love him as a person. He cracks me up as a personality. But gosh, he looks confused. He looks like my wife. She took notes. If you're a Tiger Wire fan, listen to her her notes that he took from the national tournament. She said he looked like a baby giraffe on the court. Then you got Daniel Nassif. He doesn't play. Ian Shefflin. I think I'd rather have Middlebrooks.
I was about to say, yeah, there's no chance.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Asa Thomas, freshman, doesn't play. Chauncey Wiggins. I'd take Chauncey than Ben because different style. PJ Hall.
See, like if Clark came to our team, So we have one freshman on our team, Parker.
Yeah.
And he's kind of faded out some. But you bring Clark over to this team that we have right now, and he starts.
Yeah.
He starts on our number 4, our power forward, and he's probably going to be shooting or on at least the perimeter for the majority of it. So,
see, that's the thing. He with us, different system. He's playing our 3, and I love him in the 3. You got him in the games. My favorite lineups that we have, and obviously you can't do this a lot, but one time this year we did Chase Hunter we did Joe Girard at our point guard. And then it would Chauncey Wiggins at the 2, Jack Clark the 3, Ian Shefflin the 4, and PJ Hall the 5. We had 4 guys in the game that were 6'10" or taller. Yeah. It's like, what are we doing? Yeah. It was cool to see.
Girard looks so small, but he's actually tall.
He's
compared
like
to everybody.
He's 6'2". He looks, it's great. We were watching a Clemson baseball, which we'll talk about in a second, and a pitcher came out that was 6'3", and he looked massive. And I was like, he's only 1 inch taller than Joe Girard.
Yeah.
It's crazy how
everybody makes Girard look so small out there.
Yeah. Overall, final thoughts on Clemson State.
Final thoughts is it's a great win for us. Kevin Keats has struggled very much with quad one wins, so it's a huge quad one. I don't know if we'll make the tournament yet. We still got we have a lot of opportunities left, right? We play Duke, North Carolina, so there's opportunities there if you can pull out some of those. But against Clemson, it's a huge win for us. Enjoy playing Clemson football, basketball, hopefully baseball. We're both pretty good in baseball this year. It should be good. But last night's game was fun. Great environment. Probably one. We've been to a lot of NC State and Clemson games in the past, and I would put that, if not, that might be the best game I've been to. Even if Clemson would have won that, it was just the environment, the back and forth, just the competitiveness of that game last night was fun. It was fun to be at.
That was a good one. I think final thoughts for me is obviously you wish you won. It hurts to lose always. I think 18-7 looks better than 17-8. I think the only thing it hurts is I think that game helps y'all a lot more than it hurts us.
For sure.
I think the only thing it hurts us is it makes it really hard to get that double bye in the ACC tournament, but we have not been playing like we deserve that double bye. It's still a chance for us.
It's up in air. You got Wake, you got Pitt. I mean, these are easily teams that could drop out of the number 4 spot, right?
I think there's 5 or 6 teams right now that are up there for it. But in net rankings, we dropped 3 spots. Lenardi didn't have us drop at all. We're still a 5 seed in the ACC or in the NCAA tournament, or 6 seed. We're still up there. It didn't change our ranking in that at all. So the stuff that determined the NCAA tournament, it really didn't hurt us at all. ACC tournament's what really affected us, which other than that, I thought it was good. I think
again, y'all, and we talked about this in I don't know if it was the last episode or the one before that, but you have a pretty decent schedule to end the year. So
yeah,
there's definitely a fight for y'all to be able to jump back in that 4 spot.
We play 2 of the teams that are tied for that 4 spot right now. We play Pitt and we play Wake right now, which are both up there for us.
So do y'all go 2 Wake? You know,
we go 2 Wake. That's how we end the year.
It's tough. So they're 11-0 at Wake.
That'll be a tough game. We're hoping we'll be able to go out there for that game. It's only about 2.5 hours from us, but we'll see.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, so we're going to end it with baseball in a second. We're going to take one more ad break, and then we will come right back for baseball. So we'll see you in a second. All right, welcome back to the Tiger Wire. Hey, this is the section that I've been looking forward to for a long time. This year, I'm trying to get a lot more into college baseball. It's always something to watch, especially when Omaha comes around. But gosh, Clemson's got a team this year. Clemson's got a chance to be really special. And so we're going to start talking about our Clemson baseball. We had a chance to go out to our season opener game. And gosh, Doug Kingsmore State Field, it had like 6,000 people there for opening day against Xavier. So we're going to talk about those. Anthony, you a big college baseball fan?
Again, it's the Omaha. There's nothing like it. It's, in my opinion, other people might differ, is close to March Madness, right? It's there's nothing like Omaha. So hopefully there's a lot of ACC teams, a lot of Carolina teams that are ranked this year. So I'm excited to see how this all pans out.
In the top 25 preseason rankings, 13 schools were in the Carolinas. 13 of the top 25 were in the Carolinas this year. That's crazy. That's both North and South. But, hey, before we jump into Clemson, I'm going to say this. We both have ties to South Carolina, right? I lived there in the past for about a year and a half. You live there now for a while. I live in North Carolina, pull for a South Carolina school. You live in South Carolina, pull for a North Carolina school.
Yep.
But I'll say this hot take, and you can record me saying this. I don't say this often. South Carolina, I think, is the best state for college baseball. I think you've got three of the best schools. With this year especially, you've got Clemson, who's excellent. We're going to talk about them. I think they're in for a great year. You've got South Carolina, who is I can't stand UOSC. Yeah,
in the early 2000s.
Crazy good school, and they're good every year. And then you also got Coastal, who what was their score game one? What did they put up?
26-0.
Goodness,
I think was it George Mason. I think they might have played.
And still, they come out 26-0.
Yeah, baseball is one of those sports that it's not like football, right?
Yeah.
Clemson goes in and they play a Western Carolina, right? You expect them to destroy them.
Yeah.
Baseball, I mean, it's a no-name can beat them easily, and it's not like a big upset.
Absolutely. It was Coastal Carolina's can be good. They're always good. I remember a couple years ago did they win it all?
They won it all.
They won it all. That's right. I mean, but even North Carolina's got some good schools too. NC State should have won it all. I'm a big fan that NC State is a college baseball champion right now, whether or not you give it to them or not.
With an asterisk.
Right? Yeah, I say give it to them. If you don't know what we're talking about, they should have won one. Kind of got jacked up with some stuff. COVID year jacked them up, but they should have won it. They should be crowned as champions. But anyway, we're going to jump in. Clemson opened up our season this year against an Xavier ball club. And if you don't know, Xavier's a really good ball team. They last year made it to the regionals. I know they're considered a mid-major. I hate that term, but they're considered a mid-major team.
Which is crazy at this point, right?
Yeah,
even if you go back and think about basketball, it's like they make it every year in March Madness.
They're a team that
not been taken by a big conference yet.
Yeah, I agree. I always at least have them win in the first game in basketball, just because they're there. Why not? But no, so they played in last year in the regionals. One of the best schools every year is Vanderbilt. They knocked out Vanderbilt last year in the regional, so they were the ones that eliminated them. So good ball club, and they returned a lot of their innings, a lot of their runs. So we played them, opened up the series to them. Clemson, we started off ranked 10th in the standings, 10th in the nation. Yeah, preseason we were 10. And honestly, I had some question marks because if you don't know this about our Clemson baseball, if you're watching Tiger Wire, one big thing is last year we had a good run. We hosted a regional. We ended up losing that, which was heartbreaking. We won the ACC championship, but we lost the regional while we were hosting it, which hurts. But we had a really good team last year. And then this year we come back and we lost a third. I think we brought back 2/3 of our innings pitched. So we brought back most of our pitching, but we lost 2/3 of our hitting. So our best player transferred to Tennessee, and he's actually doing really well for Tennessee. He already hit a bomb in the opening series for them. But overall, that we lost 2/3 of our hitting. So coming into this, I was concerned about our hitting. I was going, are we going to be able to score the ball? And that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case at all. State, I think NC State's playing pretty well. They're 2-1, right?
2-1, yeah.
But Clemson, if you know anything about what Clemson's been doing, Anthony?
I know they're scoring a lot of runs.
Scoring so much. Yeah. So we played. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's not like you said, Xavier's not terrible, right?
Yeah.
So you would expect them to be close games, 4-3 runs, something like that. But no, Clemson's putting up a lot of runs on the board. And has their pitching been all right?
Yeah, pitching's been good. We had a first-time starter transfer come in. Billy started game one. For game one, we gave up 3 runs, I think. I think the score is 14-3. Game 2, we won 8-3, and then game 3 was Sunday afternoon. I think we won 11-7, so we gave up 7 runs today. But honestly, I think a big reason we gave up 7 runs a day is we had a freshman starting, Canuck. Gosh, Aiden Canuck is going to be a great player. He has a filthy changeup. He has a changeup that literally just the bottom drops out. But being a freshman, first time playing in that environment, you're going to make mistakes. I think he ended up giving 4 or 5 runs up today. My big thing that's sticking out to us is this. So overall, we are outscoring our Xavier. Only one opponent so far. We play Presbyterian on Tuesday at home. But overall, we're outscoring our opponents 33-13. Huge after 3 games. Breaks it down to an average of 11 runs to 4 1/3. But here's what's crazy to me, and I tweeted this out. If you don't follow us over on the Tiger Wire at the Tiger Wire on our profile. But I tweeted this out earlier today. One of my favorite things about Clemson baseball is being behind them doesn't scare. Like being behind doesn't scare them. All 3 games so far, the other team scored first. So the first game we were down 2-0. The second game we were down 2-0. Today we were down 2-0. In all 3 games, it didn't scare us. We stayed in it. We kept fighting. The first game, I remember we gave up 2 runs. The very first at bat was hit to our freshman at third base, Noah Nawaraki. I think his name Naraki or something like that. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Naraki. But he hit to him, and it was an error, so they reached base. The next batter was a single. Next batter was a single. Then a pass ball to score. So they gave up 2 runs quick. We came in on the offense and scored 7 runs right away. Single, grand slam.
Yeah.
It was huge. There's this guy who is a transfer with us. He was at the post-game conference, Aiden Mathis. He's going to be a baller. I mean, a baller. This year, right now, he's batting 500. He's got 4 hits, 4 runs.
You said he's a transfer, is that right?
He transferred from Richmond.
Okay.
So yeah, he's batting 4. He's had 8 at bats, has 4 hits, already 6 RBIs, 7 total bases. He's already got walked 7 times.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. He's reaching base any way he can. Another big guy. You might know this name. You've watched a lot of Clemson football. You know the name Will Taylor?
I have, yes.
So Will Taylor might be my favorite story in all of college sports. So Will Taylor was a full ride scholarship offer for football. Got a full ride. And then baseball, he was always been passionate about baseball, always played both of them. Started playing baseball. And so for his first 2 years at Clemson, he played football and baseball. And then this year, he gave up his football scholarship to pay for school to focus on baseball. So right now, he bats second in our lineup. He's one of our best players. Plays left field for us. He's super good. He's not on scholarship for us. He's paying to go to school to be our second batter and playing really good. He's off to a little rough start. He had that first single and scored in the first game. And then he's been walked a couple times. I think he's been walked. Oh, just kidding. He hadn't walked at all. He was hit twice. Play him
today? He took the day off?
Yeah, he sat today. He was hit twice in that first game. But so he's batting 125, but he's going to be good. He was great last year. He'll be good this year. But yeah, I just think that's a cool story. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine giving up a scholarship to focus on another sport that you're not getting paid to play?
Yeah. No, I could not imagine that, honestly. I mean, free school or pay for it, but I don't blame him. I mean, you know what you're good at. You know what you want to pursue going forward in your life. So if baseball's that, and I mean, obviously, he still play football, I'm sure, right? Does he still play football?
No, he quit. He quit
football completely?
Left the team.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, chase your dreams, right? That's what people always tell us. So, if baseball's that, go for it, man.
He left the team. He was like, he said, I love Dabo. And that's the thing. Clemson football this year, past couple years, we've had a couple off, but we're well known in the nation, right? I mean, we've won 2 championships in the last, 7, 8 years?
Yeah.
It's been longer than that. 8 years, yeah. But anyway.
It's probably a little bit longer than that, yeah.
Yeah. We're a top school in the nation, not top 10, but we're top tier. And he walked away from it. I was like, look, I love it, but I'm going to chase it. So I like that. But biggest guys, I want to talk about my biggest batter that stuck out to me, and then my biggest pitcher that stuck out to me. So the 2 I want to stick out is number 1 is, I think, best player in college baseball. I think he's going to win the Golden Spikes. Cam Cannerella. So good. Have you followed him at all? Heard of him at all?
I heard the name. I've seen highlights from the weekend. I've caught up on a little bit, but yeah, I was looking at his stat line now that you mentioned it, and he's balling out so far. It's early, but yeah.
Last year he ended up batting, I think he bat like 370 last year. had like 40-something hits, 70-something RBIs. It was played ball really well as a freshman last year. And now he's a sophomore starting off with 538 batting, 7 hits, 3 walks, a double, 5 RBIs. Gosh, he's going to be good. He's leading our elite team right now in RBIs as our leadoff.
That doesn't have much.
Not at all.
He's your guy that's going to get on base and somebody score him.
Exactly. And this year, he's not only getting on base, but he's also hitting them in. So.
Maybe that's saying something about the bottom of y'all's lineup, though, right? They're getting on base.
Absolutely.
That's important, even at a major league level, is your bottom half of the lineup get on base.
Absolutely. The press conference on Friday, they asked the head coach about it, which I love our head coach. I think he's awesome. But they asked him about it. They said, what is your opinion on this team? And him and Aiden Mathis talked about how our top 15 players on our lineup could start almost anywhere else. We have so much depth. So that top lineup, Naraki, he started off batting 9th in the first game. And then I think today he bat 3rd or 4th. And he's playing a good game. He's batting .417 this year. He's got 5 RBIs as well. I lied. Sorry. Aiden Matthews is the leading our team in RBIs. Okay. He's got 6, but Cam Cannerella right there, 2nd place with 5. But yeah, so our team's depth. So I think Cam Cannerella is going to be excellent this year. He's going to win some awards. Excited to see what he does. Overall, our team is good. Aiden Matthews is going to be good. Blake Wright's going to be good. Nolan Araki, Andrew Chufo. I like his name. His name. How would you pronounce this? Pretend I didn't just say it.
Okay.
Ciufo.
Chifu?
His chew, like you're chewing food, and then Chufo. That was cool. That was everybody in the press conference was arguing over how to say it, but that was cool.
He clarified it, right?
The guy that is in charge of media for the team clarified it. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the pitcher I want to talk about is he actually started out of the bullpen. He's only came in part in 1 game this year. It was our first game. He's a freshman. His name is Drew Titsworth. So Drew he did so good. Also, real quick shout out to Rob. Rob followed us over on Twitter. So Rob, glad you're part of the Tiger Wire fan. That is Drew's father. So glad that he's a part of it. But yeah, Drew started out incredibly hot. He came in the game Friday and he pitched 2 2/3 innings, only gave up 1 hit, struck out 3, had 9. He literally faced 9 batters and sat them all down. So he gave up that 1 hit, which was a double, but played really well.
You know, just as well as me in baseball, it's always good to have that middleman, right? Even if he's not going to be the closer, you come in, you put in even 2 innings, right? Bring him in 6th, 7th, then bring up your setup man after that it's important. So if you can have that guy, and if he can find himself in that role, that's a great role to be in.
Yeah, it's good to have that middleman. I think that's always big. But yeah, I think Andrew Knox, like we talked about, he's going to be good. He's a freshman. He gave up 5 runs today, but like you said, freshman's going to make mistakes. Yeah, what are your thoughts on our pitching so far? What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, a freshman gave up 5 earned runs, which also hurts, which means that your team's not making a lot of errors. But he did have the 6 strikeouts, which is, I guess, a positive for the outing for 3 innings. But yeah, Barlow, I like that. If you can get, and this goes, again, I keep mentioning the majors, but in 5 innings, right, and you don't give up, you give up 2 runs, like that's solid for Barlow for the first game.
Neither earned. Neither of those were earned runs.
Yeah, no earned runs. Obviously, you want to see a little more strikeouts if you can, but two solid. And I was talking to you about it earlier. Is like you're still trying to find this team, right?
Yeah.
Clemson so far hasn't had somebody pitching in consecutive games, or even out of the 3-game series, the pitchers, relievers, they haven't brought in the same guy. So. Yeah. It's early. It's time to evaluate, see who's going to be that guy for you. And if Drew can be that guy, like I said, for the middle, that'd be awesome, right? You want to have that guy. So just keep experimenting with the Clemson pitchers. I think Tristan Smith, he pitched 4 innings, gave up 1 run, 5 strikeouts. I mean, that's solid to start out the year. You don't want to over push them. You don't want them throwing 7 right now. You don't want them pitching 8. Yeah. So if you can get a solid 4 or 5 innings, minimal runs, that's perfect. And it's exciting for y'all to know that you did have 2/3 of your pitching come back.
Oh, for sure.
A lot of times that's what teams worry about is pitching, because you bring in these hot hitters, you score a lot of runs, but if you're scoring 8 runs but you're giving up 7-8 runs, right, that hurts. So to have the veteran guys that have been there, that's pitched at Clemson before, is very important.
Yeah, I like to see it. I think overall, Clemson, it's an encouraging open weekend, right? You can't ask for much more to win. Just go in and sweep first 3 games. Love to see that.
I say I wasn't able to watch the game today on the 18th, the Sunday game. But every time I would check it, I was keeping up with it on my phone throughout the day. And Clemson, they made me worried. I didn't know if they're going to pull the last game out.
I'm telling you, going through, like I said, Clemson is a team that they're not afraid to play from behind. And so how it was today is it was very back and forth. They scored first, and we came back and took the lead. They scored in the first inning 1 run, and then we scored 3. And then they tied it up in the third. And then the fourth, they took a 5-3 lead. We took a run in the fourth, took it 5-4. The 5th inning and 6th inning, we put up 4 on them. 7th inning, they scored 2 more. So we scored 3 more in the bottom of the 7th. It's one of those. We definitely gave up runs. We definitely played from behind, but it didn't scare them. They responded. Every time they scored, we put up more on the board. You like to see that. I think what's going to
can't get down when you start going down, because it's, we've watched baseball our whole life.
Yeah.
Is you can score a run or 2 in an inning and be right back in it. So for Clemson to show that early on, that they can get down and that they can battle back, is a good sign for the rest of the year.
Like, it's a good team. I think our biggest test, I think Xavier was a big test coming up. Looking forward, we got Presbyterian on Tuesday, and like you said earlier, everybody can beat everybody, right? Like, it's not going to be one of those where if you're playing a smaller school, it doesn't matter. Presbyterian has beat us in the past, so if they beat us, it's going to be bad, but it's not going to be terrible.
Yeah.
We play them Tuesday. Then I will say this: in our first 17 games, 15 of them are home. So love to see that. Or 16. Let me see. I'll count them real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, 17. 15 of those are home. And there's 2 that are away. One's in a neutral site. Couldn't ask for much better to start. I think our biggest challenge is going to be the first weekend of March. We go to South Carolina, play them. The 2nd of March, we play that's our home neutral away series we do every year. That second game is neutral, and this year the neutral side is Columbia.
I would encourage all of the Clemson fans and all the fans that listen to the Tiger Wire, if you can make it down to that neutral site game.
Oh, yeah.
Segra Park, a beautiful place. The Columbia Fireflies play there. It's fairly new. Within the past 10 years, they built it. It's a beautiful stadium. And obviously, you get to watch a rivalry of Clemson and South Carolina.
My wife and I are going to try to come down, hopefully sit with you and your girlfriend. That'd be cool. But yeah, it's a 4:00 game. So Clemson fans, y'all aren't too far you're less than 2 hours away if you live in Clemson from Columbia. It's a 4:00 game. I've been making them
trips up to Clemson, so
absolutely. Let's come down. Let's watch that. Let's pack it out. Down here. Let's get it. Tickets aren't too bad. They're pretty cheap right now. Let's go and support them. Let's show out. Let's make it feel like a true neutral site. Especially because since it's in Columbia, we will be the ones that are listed as the home team. So I think it'd be really cool.
So
if we get
that's how
that
it works. Is
yeah.
So like when it's in Greenville, South Carolina is listed as a home.
Correct. So yeah, every year they switch, and what they do is they'll play home, neutral, away. If it's in Columbia, then it starts in South Carolina. And then this year will be Columbia at South Carolina, Columbia at Segra, and then at Clemson. And that neutral, Clemson's the home team. Next year will be Clemson will be home first, and then we'll go to Greenville for neutral site, and South Carolina will be home. And then we'll go to Columbia and South Carolina.
Didn't realize they did that, but that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a cool system. I really like how they're doing it. I wish that Greenville is still technically home for Clemson. It's only like 40 minutes away. I wish it was a little bit farther, but what are you going to get 40 minutes away from Columbia? There's not really a nice ballpark there, so totally understand why. But yeah, so good to see.
Do y'all play the Clemson one at the Drive?
We do. We go to Greenville Drive Stadium. You got the mini Fenway.
Buys for the Red Sox, but yeah.
Yeah, mini Fenway there. You're a Red Sox fan, big Red Sox fan. Yeah. How do you think they'll do this year?
It's not going to be a good year.
You don't think?
No.
I'm a Padres fan. I think we're right there with you. We'll be lucky to make the postseason. But no, I think we'll be all right. But anyway, so back to Clemson. Yeah, I think we got that. I think our biggest test is going to be that South Carolina series. A lot of trash
A
talking.
ranked game. If they both stay ranked, they both I think had a pretty good weekend.
Yeah,
so that'll
they
be
both
a cool
went undefeated.
series, ranked game.
Yeah, so we got Presbyterian on Tuesday. This coming series or week next weekend, the February 23rd, 24th, 25th, we play Kennesaw State. And then Tuesday, the next one, we play USC Upstate, and then we got South Carolina. And then shortly after that, we start our ACC. We play NC State middle of April. We're at Clemson this year, so hopefully maybe we can catch a game or two of those.
Love to make it up there.
Yeah, it'll be fun. But all right. Longer episode today. I think that's going to do it for us. Anthony, we really appreciate you joining on. Thanks so much for being here, man. Got to have you more as a series regular here on the Tiger Wire. So appreciate you being with us.
Thanks for having me. Enjoy watching. Again, it's Clemson not a team I hate. I enjoy watching them as long as they're not playing NC State. So
second favorite team?
In the ACC, I would say that, yeah.
There we go. Not in ACC. Who is it?
Obviously Tusculum, right?
Tusculum Pioneers. Roll the ears. It's our alma mater.
Yeah. But no, I'll enjoy it. I can't wait to keep watching the Clemson baseball. They got a lot of excitement. It would be an awesome series if we're both still ranked once we get into April.
Yeah.
NC State and Clemson, but it should be fun.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, man. We're going to close out the episode. Thanks again for coming.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. But, hey, thanks so much for joining us today for the Tiger Wire. We appreciate you being here. Look out in the future. We got some exciting stuff coming. We have applied, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we are going to be able to cover the ACC tournament and basketball coming up soon. Anthony will be out there with us. If we're able to do that or not, every single day of the ACC tournament, we'll put an episode out that night. So starts March 12th. That Tuesday night, it'll be a late one. We'll put an episode out talking about game ones. For all the games, Wednesday, every single day, we'll talk about, we'll put out an episode. Some will be shorter, some will be longer, especially depending on how our Clemson goes into it. So be following us. If we're there, we'll pull up maybe some Instagram lives, that kind of stuff. So make sure you follow us over on Instagram at the Tiger Wire. You can follow us at TikTok at the Clemson Tiger Wire and Twitter over at the Tiger Wire. So love to see you over on social media. Make sure to leave us a review wherever you're watching from. That would be awesome. But thanks so much for joining us today. We will see you again soon. We'll put an episode out later on this week when Clemson plays at Georgia Tech on Tuesday for basketball. So until then, we can't wait to see you then. Until then, keep that Tiger pride alive and roaring. And as always, go Tigers.